So that's your code. And can write on the board straight away. This is what we are saying. If you would have taken one variable, you would have done whatever number in front. Is that right? Now, instead of this, we are saying we are going to take a array, right? But before I actually can go to array, as I was asking you, we've not declared or we've not told JavaScript that we're going to take variable. We just take them, you know. As soon as you say a equals something or b equals 0, you've actually just taken a variable. Is that right? Because it's not compulsory in JavaScript to tell JavaScript what variables are we going to use. You can just take them, use them, and as soon as your HTML page will be over, this will be destroyed, right? But when you write variable a equal to 0, this is what we say as declaration. You declare that you're going to take a variable called as a. That's a keyword, var, standing for variable, right? So you could declare a variable, but remember we were talking about data types on Wednesday. We were saying there are different types of data, which can be text, number, date. Is that right? Now, when we don't declare, that means this variable can store anything. It can store a number, it can store a data, or it can store a date, whatever you would put in, right? But computer is not strict. I mean, JavaScript is not strict about it. What you're going to store in it. It allows you to store whatever. If you stored a number in it, it becomes number. If you stored string in it, it becomes string. It can actually move between. But most of the languages are strict. Other programming languages are strict. Like when we start learning PHP, you will be learning the same concept that you have to declare your variables. You will have to say a is number. That means a can only store numbers, right? And if you do otherwise, your program will not run. Computer will give you an error saying that there is a syntax error because you've done it wrong. Does that make sense? But JavaScript doesn't have that. But when we are making an array, we need to declare a array. And what we've done is, when we write in his code, what he has done is, he said here, variable text changes, is that right? And he's used the word here, new array, is that right? Now, if he does this, just this much, that also means that you are making a variable which is going to be text changes and it's going to be array. And I can only tell computer here how many members do I think this array will have. Am I going to have 5? Am I going to have 6? Or I'm going to have a 7, right? But what he has done is, if I say 7, that means I've told computer that I want to take 7 members of that in that list. Is that right? I want 7 elements. Yeah. If we don't say, we can actually, but if I start saying now text changes separately, I can go and say 0 and I can put whatever value I want to put in. Let's say my name. Right? Now this concept is called as initializing. You're putting values into your variable. You know, you've taken a variable, but you're giving it a value now. And you're actually giving one by one value, right? But if I look at your example, which is this, you said variable text changes. That means you're telling computer I'm going to use a variable called as text changes. It is going to be a array, right? You're not telling computer how many elements are you. You're just giving the values straight away. So that means you are declaring and initializing it at the same time, right? And it will automatically count how many elements are there. So that's your first element with that comma. That's your second element, third and fourth. So you've created an array. Now I can refer to this array with the help of an index number, which is what you've done here. Text changes and B actually stands for this, isn't it? So B will get replaced. Now here, can I write, I'm going to write it down with this, with the keyboard. Can I write here, can I write text changes and is it same? Which one is not valid? Is this valid? This one is valid because 0 means 0 element of text changes. That means the first element. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, right? That's your first element. I can go on and change it that to text changes 1 and so on. Is that what we want? First time I should have this, second time I should have this. Is that right? That's why we are replacing the 0 with another variable which we've taken as 0. Instead of saying b here, I've taken b. I've increased b by 1. That means next time this function gets called, b will be 1. And then that will also be. Why is this invalid? Why is this invalid? That, here B will get replaced by what it stands for. Here B will not get replaced. It is taking B as the just B, right? As a letter. So that's which is wrong because we do not have an index number with names. We only have them as numbers. Mhm. Yeah. Here, no. He's not said anywhere 4, isn't it? Here, he's not said 4 anywhere. Is that right? He's just done it at the same time. Yeah, but if he, it will be, if, look, if I break down this step as saying 4, then you can only take 4, right? But you can take 2. You can only take, your maximum can be 4, but you can restrict yourself to 2, 1 doesn't matter because rest is empty. It's like reserving 4 seats and using only 1. Do you understand? You've bought a collective ticking. You said I want to buy cinema tickets, and you've asked someone that I want 20 tickets. Is that right? They only want to issue that tickets to one person, and he has all the 20 tickets. Is that right? Now, whether he uses 20 or not, that's his problem. They've given you that 20. Right? They have reserved that 20 for you. You cannot use more than that, right? But if you use less, that's your choice. Does that make sense? That is 4. This one, this number means I want 4, and that will be 0, 1, 2, 3. This number doesn't mean, this number is telling computer how many elements do I want. So I want 4 spaces. Does that make sense? And the number starts from 0, 1, 2, and 3. Do you understand? There's a difference in referring to them and telling computer how many do you want. This number, when I say this, then I can't write down this in the next line. I'll have to go individually. Array 0, array 1, array 2, array 3. But here, when we don't write this and go at the same time, it's convenient to allocate. Does that make sense? It's easier to just put in values because you're not saying array 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just automatically understood. Is that okay? It's fine. Yeah. Like it's that's a concept. You don't even have to go. There's a concept of having single dimensional array and a double dimensional array. Single dimensional array is that you have a continuous number. In memory, they are always continuous anyways, but there's a concept that you have from 0 to 5, right? If you want chapters, then it will be better to take a double dimensional. And we will ask you how many do you want in one, right? So if you say I have 10, but I have 20 chapters to be done. So you have 10 per chapter. Does that make sense? Then you can go first chapter first chapter second, first chapter third, and fourth and fifth. And then you can say second chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's just a concept, but yes, that they are called as double dimensional arrays. When I say that you can only use fixed number of arrays, which is a basic concept, you can always increase the number of elements you want in that array, but it's a long process. Does that make sense? You can change the number of elements in your array if you want, but just will not go there yet, right? So you've just taken an array, and what you've done is we've just put the values in. I told you the example is that that's your ID for paragraph, which could have been for H1, or for any other tag, right? If you were using it could be div as well, straight away div if you don't have a paragraph element, right? And inner HTML is a property you are using to change the text within it. Is that, yeah? Inner text, actually inner text is just a Microsoft's version of inner HTML, and it does work, but it will not work in most of the other browsers. They have excluded that property. They don't consider that. The difference between inner HTML and inner text is inner text only means refers to text. Does that? I'll give you an example. I'll write down here. Let's say in here, just gonna write down. If I had an H1 and I wrote yeah, and here I wrote B. Yeah, this is one example. I can go for another example here. Right. Now here, if I put this and I say A, I'm obviously it is just a code, and I have href here. Can you see both examples? Right? Now, if you look at H1, if somebody asks, what's the text in H1? What is the text? Hello, guys. What happens to the B tag? But there is a tag inside, isn't it? Yeah? In this example, if I ask you, what is the paragraph text? You're again going to say, this today is Indian festival, that, right? But what happens to the anchor tag? You will not see it. The text is just the text part of it, right? Inner HTML is actually inclusive of tag. So what you will get is, if you question computer to give you inner HTML, it will actually give you from here to here everything what's in it, right? And you can even write back, right? Whereas inner text only refers to text within the tags. It can't refer to the tags inside. Yeah. It will not leave in Indian festival. It will not show you that there is any other tag in that line. It will just not see that. Does that make sense? It would not see any other tag in it. So that means if you're going to replace that, or you cannot actually refer to that. But inner text doesn't work now on all the browsers. Like when the DOM came out earlier, when DHTML was prevalent, inner text was supported by all the browsers. But with the latest browsers, they have actually deprecated inner text. They don't actually, inner text will not work on Chrome at all. You will have to use inner HTML. They've standardized this to that inner HTML will be used. But I gave you both the options. You could have just tried one. On Wikispaces, I actually gave you a link also from, I don't know, which is a common link to say where you can actually compare which property will be supported by which browser. I don't know whether you looked at that link or not. Did you? Yeah, there was a code, but they actually showed you an example that what properties are going to be barred by few browsers. They're just not accepting it. So if we want to change this text, we have used a property called as inner HTML. In your code, that's what we've done. Change that text. And set interval calls this function after every 2 seconds. So set interval is a function in JavaScript which allows a function to be called after every whatever time you will set. If the time is set in milliseconds, that's why 2000. 2000 means 2 seconds, isn't it? 2000 milliseconds is equivalent to 2 seconds, right? If you want to shorten it down, you can make it 20, 200, whatever you want to make it to reduce the timing. So that was your code for the first example where the code changes in the H1 or whatever you had set up. So I had suggested in H1, but people have done it in paragraph or div or whatever. That's fine. You write it down and calculate what it would be. You tell me what would be b equal b plus 1. If I write down this statement here, if I'm saying b equals b plus 1, let's break it down as what's 0, right? So what would this statement become? B is equal to 0 plus 1. So actual value of b will become 1, but next time, now b is 1, and I again write this b plus 1. What is happening? B is equal to 1 plus 1, isn't it? So what is outcome for that? What's the outcome? So 2. That means what is happening is, if you see gradually, b has gone from 0 to 1 and 1 from 1 to 2. How did it go? Simple maths. If I'm saying b plus 1, what does that mean? What is on the left hand side? What happens on the left hand side? That's you're putting that value inside it. It's literally 1 plus 1 or whatever the initial value is. It's not 1 plus 1, it's whatever is there plus 1. It's not the task or ID 1 plus. It's the array, and I'm saying go to the next. Because you've reached the top bit and there's no more, so you're bringing it down to the start point. No? What? Is it understandable? Not understandable? It is. Yeah. Oh, it's not dressed because of that. I would have been dressed in Indian traditional dress if that was the case. No. I would be dressed in Indian traditional dress on some day soon, but not today. Maybe next Wednesday. Horrible. I'm not photogenic at all. So. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Should we look at a different example for this? Okay. Just to understand this, if I know people who have got JavaScript example will understand this, but if you're not, then you're not understanding this. So there's no. I was looking for a 1 minute. I'll get something so that you can understand it better. What's this? What is this? What is it called? It's a filing system. God, such a big word. What is it? Sorry? Paper tray. If that's a paper tray, I want you to try one thing. That's a post-it, right? And I'm giving one to all of you, right? You'll have to share, tear it off, right? One. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna ask you to do something. You don't have to use a post-it, you could use a plain paper to do that. But that's a paper tray, right? Now, I've left some messages in the tray. Does that, yeah? I'm sure you can't see what the messages are, but there's some messages, right? Now you were supposed to tell Zara that pick up these messages one by one. But you're only allowed to write down one simple sentence at a moment. So write down as many as sentences you want to explain her that she has to read all the sentences, all the post-its and read it out. Does that make sense? Do you understand my question? No. Sarah is the lady at the reception. Now, she's not in the class right now. You have to go and give her a task list. Does that make sense? You are supposed to go and give her a task list. And what you are actually supposed to tell her is that she's supposed to go on this paper tray and she's supposed to read each message one by one. But I've said it in this way, but you are supposed to write it down a simple sentence that she reads one sentence at a time. You the order should be that she should be reading the first tray message first and then the second one and then the third one or whatever. So I want you to write down this instruction as instructions as 1, 2, 3 on simple English. You write it down in a notebook or a paper, wherever you want to write it down. Okay, before I'm going to complicate this for you. There's no paper tray. There's no paper tray, okay? Oh, you've not written it. No, I'm going to give you two examples, that's why. There's no paper tray at the moment, right? What is there is this box. There's a there's a message in there. There's only one message in there, right? There's a second box. God, open wherever. Okay, it's here. I can't open it. And the other one is this. Now write down a statement for her that this is what she needs to do. Yep. And she needs to say them loud. So I want you to write, she needs to read them out. Right. So write down this as a task for her. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what she should be able to understand. You need a paper? Don't worry, it's okay. That's gone down. It's all right. You're writing down post-its or you're writing down a piece of paper the instructions you will give her. And I'm going to actually test her whether she understands that or not. So if anybody needs a paper or post-its is enough. You need a pen. Okay. That's a different function altogether. We're not discussing this at all. I'm trying to call Zara so that she should come downstairs and read that. And I will see whether she can understand what you've told her to do. Zara, Zara, would you have a moment? You're going somewhere. Go and can come back, yeah? Who's written it? Repeat what? You said repeat, but repeat what? Your message is open box. Which box? Where is the box? Right? Read message. Where is the message? Is it inside the box? Is it inside the box? And then you are saying it is obvious. She might not say out loud and then repeat. Repeat what? Is it the same box? Is it
Step one.
then is the message in the same box though? Then which box is she supposed to go second time? I can read it. There is 3 notes, 2 of them in different boxes and 1 of them in a book. Read all of them. She can't read all of them. She can only read one and then move on to second one. She only can do one thing at a time. So this is too complex for her to understand. Does that make sense? She can't see 3 boxes at the same time. She can only see one at a time. Chintan? That she's not that bright, okay? She's not that bright. She can't see that. I'm telling you what computer can't do. Computer can't see 3 boxes at the same time. It can only go at one, and that's what it can work with.
So like doing stages.
That's why I said simple statements, one after another. Yeah, it's actually supposed to be more simpler than that. Hers was simpler, but she messed it up. So which one? What are those objects called? I can put other things on the table. Look, the reason, if you can't see it, I'm gonna make you guys see that. No, that's not hard. I'm making you see visually. I'm trying to make you see, right? Victor has written down here. I think I've already read yours, isn't it? And I've explained you why. He said go to class 1. So she comes to class 1. Does that make sense? Fine. There are 3 objects on the table. Which one? There are more. Now, no. But if he says there are 5 objects on the table, which one will she pick up? I don't care what he says, how many objects are there on the table. Does that make sense? I have just changed the situation that there are 5. But because if he said there are 3 objects on the table, which one? Right? And says read the message from the first one. That's the second statement. Should be separate. One table is go to that box and read what's inside it, right? Or you will have to say in that box there is a slip with a message on. So there could be more slips, but I'm just not complicating that. There's only one slip, right? And then says read from the second one. Which one is the second one and how does she go from first to second? Right? And how does she go from second to third? And then you said read the third one. Who else has written it up? You can't look. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying any one of you is wrong. Does that make sense? I've not said any one of you wrong. I'm just saying is think simpler than that. Think smaller than that, because when you are giving instructions to someone, this is the biggest problem in the communication. You are thinking from your point of view. You're not thinking how somebody else is working or understanding. Is that right? Go to the blue box, pick up the post-it, read the post-it loud, go to the next box. Which one is the next box? So when why did you set blue box here and not call that box? So multicolored box. Why say next box? Why not say multicolored box? Or as he said, it needs to be identified.
Maybe you can just search for post-it everywhere and if you find
There's no word called as everywhere.
search.
Search. But what I'm saying is computer doesn't understand search. You have to tell him what is search. You're talking to a 1 year old and you tell him search. He's going, what are you talking about? He's just going to give you that look. What are you talking about? Look, this is what I'm saying. Computer does not have a brain of its own. Is that right? You have to tell him everything, him or her, whatever you want to call it. You need to tell what to do, right? So why are you expecting that when I say search, it will understand search? It doesn't know what a search is. You identify, you tell him that go in this place, which is your maybe your directory or whatever. You tell computer go there and look for file name this. Does that make sense? And then it goes one by one, goes to the first one, then to the next one, then the next, and then so on till it reaches the end, and then goes back on the first one, right? Read the post-it loud. Go to the book. There are so many books now on the table. This is what I'm saying. You are imagining that that's only what is available there. Well, we've not come down to that situation where I could have that situation in the program as well. Where somebody has said that's something else named with it as well. So we'll come now. That's too complex. That's just one symbol, this one step. How many steps are you writing down in your program? How many steps are you writing? You can just make it out from here. How many steps are you writing down here? One, two, no, that's one, two, and then there's a third one as well. But there are at least two steps there also, and you're trying to write it down in one. Yeah? One step doesn't work. Computer doesn't work on that complex step. Let's say if you would have written it down, go to box 1. If I've named them as box 1, box 2, and box 3, or book 1, book 2, or book 3, right? I could have, let's say this one is named as box 1, right? That's named as box 4. I've named it. And this one is called as book 1. Is that right? I've not, I could have named it, but that's book 2, let's say. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. There's so many of them. But what I'm saying is this one is called as box 1. That's called as box 4. And that's called as book 1. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Now, what I'm telling her to do is, there are 6 instructions, isn't it? Actually, there are 6 instructions just based on this. If go to box 1, is that right? Yeah? Make it this way. Or find post-it. Is that right? Yeah? Now the next step is 4, which is go to box 4, is that right? And I'm saying find post-it. And I'm saying 6, read post-it, is that right? 7, go to go to book 1, 8, and then 9, is that right? Which is going to be go find post-it and read, right? Now if you look at this closely, although there are 9 steps, but then 2 steps are always repeated, is that right? Now No, we can't say do the same. At the same time, we can't say do the same, but yes, you are saying you're closer to that, right? The reason why I can't say do the same, because every time it comes to it, it might not understand it, right? So let's look at it. Find post-it and read post-it is same, right? Going to box 1, go to box 4, and go to book 1, because they are three different objects. Is that right? Do you understand? But if I had this instead of that, would it be different to say the command? Now the post-its are here. Would it make a difference? They are in a specific order and the name is same too. It's a tray. Go to this tray and means it would have sections. If it's a paper tray, what is a paper tray? Paper tray will means that it has got sections. Is that right? Do you understand? And you could tell him where to start. And if I tell him where to start, can I just, all I have to do is go to the next one. Is that right? I just have to tell him go to the next one, and we don't have to say what to do because it's already written down. Is that right? You know that we are saying find post-it and read post-it. Now this paper tray, now instead of taking three different variables, which is box 1, box 4, and book 1, they are all different. If I take all different, then I can't generalize. The reason is because their names are different. We can only generalize if the name remains the same, right? This is what we've done by taking an array. We are not taking three different variables or four different variables. We are taking a collection because the name will stay same. And all I have to tell computer is go add the 0. It's a standard. It's 0, this is 1, this is 2. Like you go to any building, it's always 0, first and second floor and third and so on. Is that right? Well, some do call it, mess it out. They don't call it first floor. They always, right? They should be calling it as ground floor because it is ground floor. But what I'm saying is that, but in computers it's generalized. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, right? Now, if it is generalized, I can write down a generalized statement, right? Now, in your program, what have you done? You've made this statement that is reading. Does that make sense? This statement is equivalent to reading because you're saying pick up whatever is there and show it on the screen. Is that right? But now I want him to be able to go to the next one. The next one. How can I make him go from the first one to the next one? Only, and what is the difference? This is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So all I have to make that 0 to 1. And I can make that 1 if I keep adding. If you were counting, how would you count? You have something, and you have 0, and then you have the initial value 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what you're doing here. You have taken a variable b, which is 0, and you've said b, look at this like that, b plus 1. So 0 plus 1, and store it back in the same variable. Because I can't change the counter places. I can only update that number the same place. So that's what I've done. But once it's reached 3 or 2, I want him to go back to the, so that it keeps going. And how it is going to keep going again, why is it getting called again and again? That's because of that set interval function, which comes to that function after every 2 seconds. Is that right? That comes back to this calling that function every 2 seconds. Yeah? Now that's what your function is doing. So that's your b greater than 3, b equal to 0. That's why we've checked what is the highest limit. It never goes beyond that limit. Because if it goes beyond that, the computer is going to say that that's something which doesn't exist. You're telling me to go somewhere which does not exist. So it can't go beyond that number. Yeah? But the next question was, which I'm not going to look at. I want that to be shown by Victor.
So let's just say you didn't have the what if 3 goes back to 0. What if you didn't have that? Would it just keep going?
Yeah, it'll just keep going. It will not stop. It'll just, and obviously you'll start having error messages, undefined, undefined. On the screen, you will not see the message. You'll start having error messages. It'll just go on, but it won't have the repeated message. Victor? Um, Thank you, Safi. Christine, I want to show yours as well. So next turn is going to be yours. This is why I said I'm not going to show you the homework. This is what happens. Our whole day is going to go just discussing homework. And this is homework. And it's not fair on people who've done the homework. They're trying to learn something which they've already achieved. They've learned. They've already done that. So
They learn how to teach.
yeah, why not? Do you want to show them the output first? Now this is what the homework was. What the second expectation was from all of you. Whichever. I had said you could do move or grow or shrink. Does that? I had asked that you could do move, grow or shrink. He's done all three. Obviously, he's taken three different images, but he's done one effect, which is like once it grows, I think it goes back. Uh, Slide, go back, isn't it? What's the code? I had already given you a hint that you're going to need width if you're going to do shrink and grow. Is that right? You're only going to need width or height, not both, just one element, whichever you will take. And all you had to do was just add width. If your width was 200, you were supposed to add a small amount of it, probably 2 pixels to it, that or 5 pixels to it, whatever you think was for you was gradual. Does that make sense? And the timer had to be reduced. That's all. So where's the code? Oh, go on, explain. I need to be.
I just put this paragraph to separate this one because I'm putting this as position absolute to be able to move. So just the properties.
That's your first image, which is moving.
Yeah.
That's your second image, which has got width 600, which is bigger, and it's going to go down. And that's your third image, which is actually small and it's going to grow. But that's the initial width, and that's the initial width. Is that right? For moving, you need to make sure that I told you that you have to use two elements, which from one was position. You have to make it position absolute so that it's where it's meant to be, right? And then you have to use left to move, gradually increase it.
Okay. For the one who grows, I
You
create
added
a
5 pixels, isn't it?
yeah. Just take the width and go increase by 5 pixels until 600, and when it's 600, then go back to 100.
Go back to the original width again.
And I just assign the width to the value.
He's just adding that 5 pixels to it, and every time that function calls, 5 pixels gets added to it. Right? Like let's say the size is 100, it's going to go 100, 500, 10, 100, 15, 100, 20, 45, 30, and so on.
How about the height?
There's no need to do height because computer does the height for you. Why? Remember when you say width, height gets automatically adjusted to the width. So browser does that automatically, isn't it? If you do height, it adjusts the width of the image automatically. So I'm not going to do both because otherwise it's not going to look good because you don't know what is the image portion. Is it landscape or portrait? I'm not sure how the image is. So
First and the second.
they're both same.
Just increase the
They're
value.
just same.
Yeah.
What he's done is he's taken the current value
It's the
and he's
same.
added and put that value back to that width. There's no difference between the first and the second one. The only difference is the next one is 5 added. That's all.
Is it important that you add 5 pixels? There was like 5 paragraphs, or
No.
four
No,
paragraphs
no,
you
no,
can
no.
modify them.
No, that was
No.
just a distance. He just created a difference between the first image and the second image. That's it. And because it's going to grow, you need that. It's just that because he had put 3 images. Paragraph has got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
The paragraph
You see this because I add this just to create this space.
Enough space.
So what's the definition? What value of the
100.
It's the width I gave to.
so where is it? Where's the
In the image,
image?
so in the images,
Yeah. First one was 600. No,
100.
100.
100 will grow, isn't it? And 600 will get minus. Because it's
Yeah.
done both, isn't it? It's done grow and reduce as well. So the reduce has highest value 600. The other one is what? In the same, in all three of them, it's the same concept which you've used. Is that you are changing width in grow. You are one is reducing, one is adding. Is that right? And height is the move is that you're just changing the left component. How far from the screen do you want it? I think that should be
Okay, so move. I I use this property because if I took directly a style that left, the value is with pixel. So I can change adding a number. So there is a property called offset left that give me the value, just the number. So I took this value and I increase the position until 1,000 pixels. And when it's more, I come back to 0 and just assign the value to the style left, but adding pixels.
So when you say start left, is that
property.
The property.
Left is the property. Left, top,
The
right.
position of the image is left and top, 0,
so
0.
you could have gone offset bottom or
Yeah.
top?
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
There
the
is
image could have moved up or down or left or right, wherever you want to move it, depending on what property are you choosing. You can go diagonal by choosing top, bottom and left. Does that make sense? If you do both together, we'll go diagonal. The image will go as a. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, at the moment, if this off, isn't it? If you have something that's your screen, and you have from here, that's what is measured, right? So how far are you from here downwards? It's top. That's bottom. So my voice is so loud to go on that left, and that's right. If you're only moving top, the picture would go down because the rest of them are remaining same, isn't it? Bottom will obviously keep getting reduced, right? If you're doing left, the right is obviously getting automatically there, but it's just moving one direction. So if you move one of them, it'll just whichever way. Is that right? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you move left and bottom up, it'll go like this, isn't it? So that's again up to you. How do you want to do it? I mean, obviously there are so many. We should learn. The next thing should be that things go where your mouse goes, or wherever you've clicked, or it should. Or I'm sure you've seen that funny programs where they say click on yes or no, and you can never reach no or yes. And it just keeps going away. So that means wherever somebody is clicking, you are 10 pixels or 20 pixels away. That means they were never gonna be able to click on that object because it's just gonna keep changing position. So you could do, because computer captures the mouse movement. So wherever you are, you can actually find out where is the mouse on the screen, where is somebody clicked on the screen. And that's where your football games are usually. Or I don't know if anybody has played or paid money on the net, and that's a lot of money, especially in World Cup times or league table games, where they give you a picture and you have to spot a ball. Have you seen those? Victor, have you seen those? Like for usually it happens in the tournament times. when table tennis or football matches start, they usually do what they have a clicked photograph of some footballer, and what they would do is with the Photoshop they'll hide the football, right? And they will put this on the net. There's games, and people actually pay money to play that. Um, that they will have to guess where the ball is looking at that picture. You know where the ball is, and all you're doing is all they have to do is click, and that gets recorded as their answer. But obviously they know where exactly was that ball, isn't it? And how does it happen is that that program is working on click. Wherever the person clicks, it picks up the left and the right, and that gets stored. So if it matches their database or whatever, then they win that specific. So people buy tickets to actually play that. I remember making that game actually for my old company, because that is very popular, especially in UK. It's so popular. Those websites are so popular. They've done it with table tennis. The position is that the tennis is there, and you have to guess where exactly is the ball, which they are doing that. And it has become popular with lot many other options. All you're doing is just guessing where you're just clicking on the screen. But I'm sure you would have that mouse trails on some websites where the snow follows you, or something follows the mouse, or you have this effect where things are just falling down the screen. Does that, like a snow everywhere on, or bubbles everywhere? All that is done by this. You're just making things move, and there are functions which are just running.
A game where you define volume, the arrows go up and down.
Yeah. So that is actually done with the help of a JavaScript. There's no need for a server. Everything is happening on the client machine, and that's what you're doing. Yeah. So it's just capturing and being able to store it as a value. So please join you. I wanted to show Christine's as well. Christine, do you want to borrow? Kin is going to sleep. Kin, get up. Coffee. Come on. No break. Kin will explain. Kin, let's see whether you can explain Christine's program. Mm-hmm. While it goes on to there, just look at her code, and just in a minute you should know what is it doing.
It's not cool, you know. No. They changed it. Oh, it looked more simpler. She's looking at my code, it's more simpler.
Yeah, she's put in so many things in it, and I think she complicates her things by thinking that it is working, and she couldn't. It was. I definitely know for wasn't working, but let's see. She's just done implementation on her own. She's done moving actually, and she's done the change on itself. She's made a div move, and the text is moving in that div itself. Does it make sense? But she's added buttons to play and stop.
Sorry, because it wasn't working, so it's
Your play stop was working, isn't it?
yeah, but it wasn't working. I even started to do it.
We could have solved that.
At least she helped them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would have changed that, but I wanted to show them that code where you actually have that start and stop. Because that was an improvement to what I've given you. Does it make sense? That it doesn't start automatic. It starts when somebody wants it to start, and it stops when you want it to stop. So it was only that you call that interval, you call that set interval function on click. Because we at the moment we've just put that at the top, set interval function one or whatever. You don't call that just like that. You call it on click. Uh, and then stop. You have to clear time interval or clear interval, basically say that it is no longer going to work. This is USB. Don't take that out. My mic won't work. Yeah. I said don't take it out. Oh, that's his. Victor's. Just take that out. It's okay. Safi, now that we've discussed the answers in the class, I want you to go to week 3 and put your code on week 3. once you've completed it. So, yeah. And Victor, you too. On my week 3 page, does it make sense? The page I make, Victor, the page I make, you know, the Wikispace is the page. I know you would have uploaded this on your learner diary. That's fine. What I want you to do is go on to the week 3 page, which I maintain. Go and say edit and upload your answers to the task there. So that I'm not going to write down this code again. People can see what. So at least there's an example code for people to look at. Does that? That's play animation. And that's stop. Yeah. So the only enhancement from the previous one is it's happening, but it just starts when you click on a button and it stops when you want to stop it. Right? Is that? You could do that with music. You can play music and stop music. You can actually create your own buttons to have a background music playing, and you can give controls to people where they can stop and play music. Um, Again, you can do that with lot of effects which you want to create. You know, some people, like as I'm saying, the snow falling, whatever, so snowflakes falling. Some people, you think people are getting not comfortable with it. As Portugal explained the other day, maybe epileptic people don't want, or somebody doesn't want with disabilities or whatever reasons, they don't want that effect to be working on the page. They just want to concentrate. They just have an option to say stop. Does that make sense? I don't want that there. So that's more, and moreover, that's called accessibility. You're taking care of, you're actually giving user the option to say whether they want it or don't want it. You have the features, but you're giving the choice to the user that he can stop or start that. Is that?
Only remembering a few notions now. There was for the whole evening, almost like when you have a sea sickness or stuff like that. I don't know why. So seriously, not how to say this. Just thinking about,
People.
no, me feeling nauseous about this is altering the color.
No, I mean it is. I mean it's not just about disabilities. It could be about how you feel, how your mood is, and all that. What I'm saying is, it is always good to give that. Your website would always be ranked high on usability if it has options like that. Does that? Do you understand? So I just want to see the start and stop.
Start and stop. So if
The rest is the same, isn't it? It's
the
just physically showing them that that's your start and that's your.
yeah, so I put the animation in a function
Mhm.
called start animation,
Mhm.
then it will
Set and just calling the function called a set interval.
click my animation icon. So set interval, change the text. And there's another one to animate the box as well. My moving. And in my stop animation function,
You're saying which one to stop, is that?
yeah,
Or
I'm saying which one to stop. Yeah, so clear interval stops the
my animation, and then clear interval, my moving stops the my moving. Yeah.
and then it changed like we did before with the change of values of the text.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It is just on the button that you've stopped and started the set interval function based on user's choice. Yeah. So Christine, you can put your code as well if people want to see it. They can have a look. Yeah. So all three of you, Safi, Victor, and him, you can actually put your code on the wiki. Good practice is that you start putting comments in your functions. What is that function going to do? And if you are making a JavaScript file there where there are a lot of functions, what is that actual function meant to do, right? That's a good practice, right? Just in case you forget, but anyways, it's a good practice to put what that function is doing. We have not actually set up the convention rules or function naming rules so far, because but then you in any company you would go in to work, they will always have a rule to name certain things because there's always a team of people working, so they should be able to locate or understand and how what is working in the first place. So let's say if there was a function for changing color, they will actually name it as change color.
I was watching some videos of statements of buttons.
We've started doing that, and all the last weeks program has got comments by me in the programs what I've done, right? Yeah, so naming conventions are important. Like you can see JavaScript has got a naming convention. A function name starts with a small letter and any joining word has got first letter capital, like set interval, get interval, whatever. Same case is needs to be adopted by you as you are programming, that you will follow a naming convention while naming all your functions. It's just a good practice. And within organization actually has written rules sometimes how they're going to name, so that if people in a organize there are different people in the organization working, they understand what the function name would be and what it would be doing. And usually function names should suggest what that function is doing. So like your function was my animation, so my M small animation A capital, is that right? So that's the best way of actually doing that. But company rules are some people omit vowels. Does that make sense? So that it is not that obvious for an outsider to understand as well what it does. So there are so many rules. They set up all vowels to be missed, a specific vowel to be missed. Does that make sense? So just to set up their company rules, how the function and variable names should be named. So I want to take a break, take a small. Kin is always for a break, isn't it? Okay, have a small break, and then you come back and we do functions in a bit more detail, right? You come back at 4. Oh no, 10 past 4.
4. We do 20 minutes. Oh,
Oh God, this no. We come back at 4. I was right. I just looked at this computer clock and I said